Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of The Issue on Voice of the People TV. I am your host, Jerry Arpelihai. Welcome to The Issues, where we delve into the wide range of topics that impact our daily lives. Our team of seasoned analysts provides a deep insight and comprehensive overviews of the matters that affect people the most. Join us as we explore the complex discussions that shape our society, equipping you with expert perspectives to navigate the path ahead. First on the agenda today, a former Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has expressed his willingness to consider a vice presidential role if he finds someone who can perform better than him. The former Anambra governor stated this in a recent interview, claiming that his ambition is to get people to move Nigeria forward in the next general election in 2027. Away from that, the Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) has renamed OVH Energy Marketing Limited as NNPC Retail Limited on its database. The rename was done via a special resolution dated 11 June 2024 by the board of the company. Still more, where controversy is currently trailing the continuous issuance of bunkering permits by the Nigerian Navy, development stakeholders in the Nigerian maritime industry have described as an aberration. Speaking in an ongoing Lagos International Maritime Week, Commodore Igbani Ago, General Manager Planning of the Nigerian Navy, said that the Navy had to come to issuance of bunkering permits because the space had to be regulated because of the unwholesome activities being experienced in that sector. Away from that, where human rights lawyer and activist Deji Adeyonju has said that President Bola Tinubu's government and its security agencies are afraid of the former governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello. Adeyonju said Tinubu's government is scared to arrest Bello over his alleged laundering of 80.2 billion naira despite the court order for his arrest. All right, after this short break, we dig deeper into these topics and more. Don't go away as we continue our exploration. Welcome back. Let's now delve into the heart of our discussion. Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has reportedly expressed openness to the idea of running as vice president in Nigeria's 2027 election if he finds someone who can outperform him in leadership. His main ambition is to help move Nigeria forward, and he remains committed to the Labour Party, but is open to a political merger with others who share his vision. Meanwhile, the party's National Working Committee, led by Julius Abure, has called for an investigation into Obi, activist Aisha Yesufu, Pastor Itua Igodalo, and Pan-Yoruba Group Afenifere leaders over alleged misappropriation of campaign funds from the 2023 elections. The EFCC and NSA were requested to look into those claims. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two esteemed guests. Here in the studio, we have Mr. Peter Anosike. Mr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance.
It was great.
Who would you say performed over the other?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, it's really like a comparison there. Harris taught some lessons. So it was a complete washout, really.
All right. I don't know whether Mr. Siki will agree. He's a Trump man. You are on the Harris side. Do you agree that Trump was taught a lesson?
Harris is an evil woman. Let us continue with our business here.
Quite a punchy one. But I don't want us to go into the American politics. Let's come back home, where Peter Obi has reportedly expressed the openness of running as vice president in 2027 if he finds a better leader. How does this position impact his credibility and commitment to the vision of so many Nigerians wanting to see him as the number one person, talking about being the president? How does this look like, this new position, if actually is looking like he's saying that he might be interested in being a vice president if he finds a better leader? Dr. Joe.
Well, first of all, I really do think that Peter Obi needs to take some time, maybe a few months off, and really evaluate where he is, what he wants to do, and so on. The reason why I'm saying that is, I think I said this a few months ago, and I even said it when before the election. I said that if I were to advise Peter Obi, I would have told him, look, if you will not stay with PDP, do not run on the Labour Party 2023. Just work with the party, get it ready for 2027, or stay with PDP and let Atiku run, since he wanted to run, and the chance that he will be the nominee. And then position yourself to be the next person in the PDP. So what he's doing now doesn't help him, because now, by going from PDP to Labour Party and then, positioning himself that he can become vice president in either PDP or Labour Party, I can see a lot of people saying, well, where do you stand? Are you really just anywhere? So that's why I said he needs to take, if I were him, I would take some time off. There's still a lot of time. In fact, I don't even know why Nigerians are starting this early. But again, that's politics. He has time before the next election. Take some time out, hopefully with some advisor that will be very objective. And I want to emphasize objective, people who will look at the landscape of political situation in Nigeria and tell him, the opinion straightforward. That's really what I would advise him to do at this point.
All right, let's go to Mr. Nosike. Some have actually come to put it into perspective that he did not say he was going to run for vice president. He said that he's not desperate. That was the word he actually used, that I'm not desperate to be president, but he's interested in seeing that Nigeria works, that anybody who's ready to pull the country out of poverty and move Nigeria from consumption to production is ready to collaborate with such person.
Jerry, there's a saying that only the deep can call the deep. So those who are misinterpreting Peter Obi's statement has no depth. Peter Obi said that he's not desperate for being the president. He made a statement like a statement that if your mind is to serve, you can serve at any capacity. You can serve at any level, even as a local government chairman. You can serve as even a state house of assembly member. That is what Peter Obi is trying to tell the Nigerians, that if he sees somebody who is better than him, that he's ready to second that person.
And what does that mean, second the person?
Being his deputy.
Okay, that's vice president.
You cannot contend with somebody who is better than you. Understand me? So this is a philosopher talking. Understand me? You are not the son that all the other planets revolve that around.
Yes.
If I see somebody who can do it better than me, I'm ready to be that person's president. I'm vice president. This is a statement from a statesman. This shows that he's not desperate for being a president. It's not like what Tinubu said, it is my turn. Understand me? It is nobody's turn. This is collective responsibility, all hands on deck. And if you mean well for this country, you will be ready to serve at any capacity, provided that the well-being of the people are taken care of. That it's not about me, but about other people. And I'm ready to serve at any capacity, even as a vice president. I would have been put off if I must be a presidential candidate. Understand me? So it's only the deep can call the deep. But most Nigerians are gullible. Most Nigerians are sentimental. That's why they are trying to misrepresent, to misinterpret what he said. If I see anybody who is ready to move Nigeria forward and can do this better than me, I will take the back chair. I will take the second seat. For me, there's nothing wrong with that statement. It is not about him, but about that's putting Nigeria first. That's what he said. If I see somebody who can do it better than me, I'm ready to be that person's vice president. And if people come to talk to me, I will gauge what they are saying. I'm not in this for capturing, for state capturing. So P2B differentiated himself from the power mongers in APC. That's exactly what he did. That he has a different vision, a different idea, a different thinking, a different mind from the hawks in APC, who only think about power and the election. So this is a statement of a statesman.
All right. In that comment, he said he's ready to collaborate with anyone. But taking a look at the perspective of what Nigerians actually need and how they perceive Peter Obi, Dr. Joe, do you think they have people who can fit into that position, talking about moving the country from consumption to production, that vision, that leadership that Peter Obi is really looking forward to and asking for? Do you think we have such leaders that could actually be president and Peter Obi become vice to running up in the run-up to the 2027 elections, for instance?
Well, unfortunately, I was trying to remember where such has happened in recent years in any country, at least in developed countries, and I couldn't come up with any where somebody who has ran because he believed that he was the best candidate and then lost and then turn around to say, I could be vice president. There's really nothing wrong with that. And he can, position himself like that. Unfortunately, many people will see it in so many other ways outside of being a statesman, okay? One way they can see it is that, well, he wasn't really sure to begin with. Two, they question, well, if you feel that way, well, you could have done it the first time. You see, so there are many questions there that people have right to ask. At the same time, it is his choice. He can position himself the way he likes. The question then becomes, in his view, and I saw what things he said, is he saying somebody who will do better? Well, that's a general word, okay, or a general statement. He has some identified goals that he brought to the party, that he ran on. And so now, if he's saying, well, if I could see somebody who would be better, I can see why some people will have questions. That's why I really say that, again, it's his choice. But if I were him, I would take time off, because if you look at it, for example, on PDP, if I understand it, Atiku is running. Okay? If Atiku is running, well, if he wants to be vice president there, the question will be, okay, at first, didn't you think that Atiku was better? If you are now accepting to the role that you rejected, are you now saying that he was better than you before, or you just realize it? Now, if it is labor, I don't know if anybody else has been identified, but even in that one, people would say, well, okay, how is that person really better? So I think he's putting himself in difficult situation. You know, looking at it from the point of statesmanship, I don't know. Maybe it may be worth doing some polls or survey within Nigeria to see how many people will see it that way. I'm afraid many will not see it that way. Because I know in this country, many people will not describe it as being statesmanship. In fact, many people will see it as, if he says, you know what, I'm going to take time off for the next 4 years, for example. That's where people will be saying, okay, he wants to really go back, take a look at things, and then come back. So that's, again, that's the way I look at it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to him and his team to decide what is the best path for him.
Well, I think Dr. Georgia forgot that at some point in time, Peter Obi actually ran as vice presidential candidate to talking about Atiku Abubakar. So he has done it before as vice presidential candidate. He has tested that route, and we all know he lost the ticket alongside Atiku. And this time he decided to run as president. So if he decides that he was going to run with Atiku, he has done it before. If he decides that and believes that he is the man he feels he can be a vice to and he can take Nigeria to the next level, is there anything wrong?
For me, the best joint ticket that we have had in this country from 1960 till date is a 2019 ticket, Atiku Obi. That's the best ticket that we have had in this country since independence till today. But the enemies of Nigeria rigged that ticket, and that's why we are where we are at this point in time. If they had allowed that ticket that to sell, we would not have been where we are at this point in time. Now, Nigeria would have gone higher than South Africa. But today, we are number 4 in the economy, going to become number 5 because Morocco will take over, will take that 4th position in a few months' time. If you are reading African
Statistics, business statistics.
Economy.
Okay.
If that ticket has sailed with Atiku as the president, Peter Obi being a vice president and in charge of the economy, this production from consumption to production will have started in 2019. And by now, we will have gone very, very far. But the enemies of this country did not allow that to stand. So, and in politics, in PDP, Atiku is the highest political office holder. That's in the afternoon. Somebody asked me, Kwankwaso, if Kwankwaso, Peter Obi, and Atiku come together in 2017. Understand me?
2027.
Who is going to step down for each other? I said, look, for me, this is the reality. Even though it may not benefit other people, there's nowhere Atiku will step down for Peter Obi or for Kwankwaso, because he is a higher political office holder, being a vice president. So there's no way, unless Atiku say, I'm not interested, we now begin to debate Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, who should step down for each other. But once Atiku is interested, there's no way Atiku will step down for Peter Obi. It doesn't happen in politics. That was why in 2020, the Democrats in the United States gave Joe Biden that ticket, being the highest political office holder, having run with Obama. It doesn't mean that Biden was the best candidate. No. So we should understand it, even though emotionally it is heartbreaking. But that is the reality. If in 2027, Kwankwaso, Atiku, and Peter Obi comes together, know it that both Atiku and Kwankwaso and Peter Obi must step down for Atiku. Understand me?
Well, what about the situation of Kwankwaso and Peter Obi and running? Because Kwankwaso has made us know that he will not be stepping down for anybody, and he believes that somehow that he has more credibility, and of course, before the last election.
Which credibility?
I don't know. He has the political...
How many votes did he score? Did he score up to 1.5 million votes?
Definitely not. Definitely not. But what happened at the last election? Do you think he would have a rethink of that mindset?
If Kwankwaso has teamed up with Atiku, so Kwankwaso is the main problem of 2023. If he has teamed up with Atiku, Atiku would have won. Understand? Atiku would have gotten Jigawa and Kano State. So Kwankwaso is a betrayer.
What if he is on a ticket alongside Peter Obi? Kwankwaso.
It is him that spoiled the 2023 calculation by refusing to step down.
All right, let's also look at other issues right now where the Corporate Affairs Commission has officially renamed OVH Energy Marketing Limited to NNPC Retail Limited following a special resolution by the company's board dated June 11, 2024. And the renaming took effect on September 2nd, 2024 with a certificate signed by Hussaini Magaji, the CSC's Registrar General. Previously, court ruling dissolved NNPC Retail and transferred its ownership to OVH Energy. NNPC Retail, registered in 2009, and No Oil Energy, registered in 2022, were dissolved, while OVH Energy, established in 2006, remained active. And the NNPC Retail no longer exists in its original form, having transferred its assets and ownership to the firm it claimed to have acquired. Very interesting. And how does the renaming of OVH Energy Marketing Limited to NNPC Retail Limited affect the stakeholders, including employees and, of course, Nigerians who have been asking questions? Even the likes of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has been asking a lot of questions. How come a company you acquired, in words to Nigerians, the documents are saying something different? Something fishy is going on, and it looks like nobody is asking the questions from the government or from the EFCC, or those who are supposed to ask the questions. It looks like it's only the press, it's only Atiku Abubakar, who is not in the government, that's asking questions in what is being done with NNPC assets that's supposed to be owned by due to taxpayers' money. Dr. Joe.
Well, first of all, it is usually the press that asks questions, okay? That is the essence of press freedom and democracy, is that the press asks the question on behalf of the public.
What about the National Assembly? Are they not supposed to investigate too?
I was about to say that the other group that should ask questions is the National Assembly. The National Assembly should ask these questions and say what is going on. So when they are not asking the question, then it leaves the public wondering, and unfortunately, it leaves a lot of narratives and opinions going everywhere. So I think it's a good question to find out why they move, what are the implications, and what is it that the public, the nation, benefits from that. And that's a very good question that the National Assembly should call the pertinent parties and ask them the questions, because I don't know why they did that, to be honest with you. Business is acting unusual ways sometimes. And that's why you have the press and you have the National Assembly in a democracy to get to them and say, what are you doing? So That's really what Nigerians should be demanding now is we need answer. We need somebody to talk to us. And the press and
Hello, Dr. Joe, are you still with us? All right. Mr. Nosiki, is it not confusing? Or how do we make to understand you buy a company and you're renaming your own company in the name of the company you bought over? How does it make
Well,
sense?
to make it simple, our commonwealth has been transferred to one man. Our commonwealth, Nigerian commonwealth, is now in the hands of one man. That's a simple way of putting what happened in this transaction. We now have what is like that's Aramco in Saudi Arabia, where the wealth, assets of a country are in the house of the swords. That's the ruling family. So that's the long and short of what happened. So from now, Nigeria has entered. This is no more democracy. It is no more democracy that we are practicing. So things has changed in this country, and if you continue this way, we now have a dynasty in this country that is going to be determining what is
Necessary to regulate the sector due to rampant oil theft, which he claimed only occurs in Nigeria. However, some stakeholders, including a member of the Nigerian Ship Owners Association, NISA, refuted this, pointing out that oil theft occurs globally in places like Mexico, Iraq, and Somalia, yet their navies do not interfere in commercial shipping. And the NISA member argued that the Navy's involvement is unique to Nigeria due to vested interest. And Captain Tajuddin Alao, president of the Nigerian Master Mariners Association, explained that the Navy's role emerged because of widespread abuse in the process, which was previously managed by the Nigerian Customs Service. The Navy's involvement, he added, is also linked to addressing economic breaches in Nigerian waters. All right, taking a lot, Commodore Ibani Agos claims that the Nigerian Navy's involvement in issuing bunkering permits is essential to combat oil theft, which he asserts is uniquely severe in Nigeria. How does this stance address the concerns of stakeholders who argue that similar issues are managed differently in other countries? It's like you're giving the thief a license to steal. What does that mean? I don't understand.
Well, for me, I don't know about giving a thief a license to steal. The truth is that Navy, Air Force, Army, these are the military. Their role has nothing to do with the oil. Their role is protection and never to get into business. This is the first time I'm hearing that Navy is issuing a bunkering license. I've never had that before. And this is corruption at its peak. There's nowhere in the world that Navy is involved in business. Even in the Army, defending the sea waters of the country. So when they begin that to issue a bunkering license, then it means that they are going beyond their responsibilities, and that is corruption. So I feel that they should be called to order, and if there's any license that they have been that they have given, it should be revoked with immediate effect, because they have no business with anything oil except the protection of our sea waters, understand me, and maybe pipeline vandalization. But then they're getting involved in this is very, very wrong. That's my take.
Of course, with the Nigerian Navy taking on regulatory role previously held by the Nigerian Customs Service, What are the potential risks and benefits of this transition for both the maritime sector and the national economy?
Well, it's going to cause confusion because it is going to cause confusion between the maritime, customs, and navy themselves. So for me, each of them should focus on their core competence. Don't meddle in the affairs of the other agencies or institutions.
All right, let's go to the next of the agenda quickly, where human rights lawyer Deji Adeyonju has claimed that President Bola Tinubu's administration and its sequences are afraid to arrest former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, despite a court order related to alleged laundering of 80.2 billion naira. Adeyonju criticized the government for targeting peaceful protesters, instead accusing it of prioritizing muscle flexing over addressing the grievances of Nigerians suffering from hunger, hardship, and poor governance. VOPTV reported that a federal high court in Abuja granted bail to 10 protesters who had been arrested in Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe for participating in the End Bad Governance protest. The protesters who had been detained, I beg your pardon, for over a month, were required to provide a surety with property in Abuja and pay 10 million naira for bail. The arrested individuals and activists like Eleojo Opaluwa, Michael Tubloba, and the rest and others who were simply waving flags during the protest are all facing one form of talking about issues as far as that one is concerned. Well, taking a look at Deji Adeyonju, who has accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of avoiding the arrest of former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello, despite the court order. What does this claim reveal about the administration's approach to high-profile corruption cases, and how might it affect public trust in the judicial system?
No, I want to correct something.
Okay.
Those people were given, they're not to pay 10 million naira.
Okay.
It is if they jump bail when courts need them and they fail to appear, then those that took them on surety will pay that 10 million. So that is the conditions of fine. So I know that if this is around 7:38 Nigerian time, if EFCC wants to pick up Yahaya Bello before 6 a.m. tomorrow, they will pick him. If EFCC really want to pick him before 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, they will pick him. But they don't want to do that. Maybe the powers that be have not given that order. You know, I said it here some time ago that since that case, conversations have been going on. And you know, Yahaya Bello was a good boy of Buhari. At least in 2019, he bought Buhari's presidential ticket for 45 million, while owing 13 months salary in his state. And Buhari accepted, which is corruption. So I feel that some people are standing on his case and making an appeal. That should be what is going on. They could be looking for a way of giving him a soft landing. So a lot of meetings, conversations have been going on since then up to now. But if Deji interpreted it as fear, it could be a fear. Understand?
Does he have something that could implicate the government, for instance, of the day? The reason why a lot of so-called big players don't want to be involved in the matter because maybe he might empty some canker ones.
I say some people are standing on this case. Some big wigs, especially in the Buhari administration, are on this case, pleading on his behalf. So it's not that if EFCC want to pick him before tomorrow morning, they will certainly do it.
Right, I think you criticize the government for targeting peaceful protesters instead of addressing systemic issues like hunger and poor governance. How does this administration's handling of protests reflect on its priorities and its commitment to addressing the grievances of ordinary Nigerians?
Government begin to hone down on opponents when they are not doing well. That's when the government know that it is failing. Understand me? And that's exactly what is going on at this point in time. Tinubu's government has failed and is failing woefully. So that's why it is now, it's a kind of trying that to shut down mouths that are trying to criticize it. And but peaceful protest is a fundamental human right. Protest is a civic responsibility. Protest is allowed everywhere in the world, especially where democracy is practiced. But when a government is not doing well, it sees criticism as enmity. It sees criticism as trying to overthrow his government. So this is a sign of a government that has failed.
All right, let's go to Dr. Joe. We understand that you're back with us. Sorry for that network interruption there. And before we moved over to the Adeyanju case, where he was talking about the government being afraid of arresting the former Kogi State governor, talking about Yaya Bello. We're talking about the Navy issuing bunkering licenses. And the maritime sector are against that notion, and of course that plan, that tactics, and of course that move. And we're talking about the Nigerian Navy taking a role that is meant for the customs service. We're talking about the potential risk. What's your take if, for instance, the Nigerian Navy is now involved in regulation of matters that ordinarily should not be its activity? Does that show maybe there's an interest from the Nigerian Navy, for instance?
Well, with regards, I was actually listening to what you're saying all along.
Sorry. Okay.
NNPC and the OVH situation, I think it's important to note that what happened was that NNPC acquires OVH. There is some dubiosity going on there. I guess that's something that we'll find out. With regards to the Navy, also I think it's important to note that Navy is under the, quote, Ministry of Defense, however we call it in Nigeria. Okay, what does that mean? Ministry of Defense does business. There's a lot that goes on within the military. There's a lot that goes on within each entity within the Ministry of Defense. Okay? So, again, I think we have to be open-minded when these things happen. Ask questions. I think the mistake we make sometimes is we begin by assuming that there is some dubiosity there. And that sort of clouds things, okay?
But so, this worry is coming from the stakeholders in the maritime sector, not the press. Now, the maritime sector, during the workshop, decided to air their view on, and they are saying that it's not right. They are in the maritime sector. They are the ones
who has no right to issue bunkering license.
Okay.
Again, it looks like the customs were doing it. All of Navy, customs, infantry, they are under defense. So I think the answer will come here. The point I'm making, though, is that until we get that kind of information, we don't know. Defense does a lot of businesses. In many times, businesses that one may look at and say is outside of, quote, defense. They do a lot of that. So I don't know, again, what the ulterior motives are. But I guess those are questions that we have right to ask, and hope we'll get the answer. With regards to the issue of the former governor of Kobe State, I think the mixing of apples and oranges here. On one hand, there is the issue of that governor being why he has not been physically brought to justice, I don't know. And then there is the issue of people who were charged to court for some activities they partook during the protest that the legal system believes is outside of the realms of protest. And again, I believe in law and order until proven otherwise. So I will, in both cases, my position is this. I don't know why the case with the Yogi governor, former governor, is being delayed. However, it's important to know that people who have money, people who have influence and other wherewithal do have ways to get attorneys to delay. And unfortunately, in some cases, the case. So I don't know if that's the case there, but I wouldn't therefore say, okay, if you don't do A, you cannot do B. No, you can. The government has to do all of it. If they believe that some people are, they have right to bring them to justice. And actually with the protesters, again, they have right to protest. But like what happens in most protests, there are always some situations that will make the Justice Department, the police and all that. And if that's the case, then they should go to court to defend themselves. And in this case, the court called them and did what court should do. And that is, we heard you, but you need to come back because you have to answer questions. Progress in the legal system of Nigeria. And I think we should applaud that kind of process.
All right, we are due to take our bow right now to the studio, and we would like to take your party shot before we say goodbye to you, Dr. Joe. All right, it's a pleasure having you, and it's always a pleasure, and of course, we hope to call on you some other time to be a part of the issues.
Sure, have a great weekend. Thank you.
All right, you too. All right, of course, Mr. Nosige.
I don't see justice in giving people who participated in protests 10 million naira fine. It is inhuman. It is very, very inhuman. These are things that can happen in North Korea, in Russia, and never in a democratic country. So I highly condemned what that judge, Justice Winter, did.
All right, so of course, from Mr. Nosige, have a great weekend too. It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, of course, as we conclude today's edition of The Issues, we thank you for joining us. Catch us again on Monday at the same time on our YouTube channel, Voice of the People TV. Stay connected with us on our other social media platforms at VOP TV Live. I am your host, Jerry.